I'd like to welcome you back to Nerd Talk New York, Episode 2, The Passing of Akira Toriyama. So welcome back to Nerd Talk New York, the show where we talk about, well, I talk about anime, anything nerd culture, anime, video games, comics, whatever it may be. That's what we're talking about. But unfortunately, it's been so long since I did the first episode, and this is going to be episode 2, and I've been kind of inspired to do this, unfortunately, because the passing of our hero, our inspiration, a generation, culture-changing phenomenon of a man, Akira Toriyama, creator of like the Slump, Dragonball, Dragon Ball Z, all the Dragon Ball series, the artist behind the Chrono Trigger characters, the artist behind Tobal, the artist behind Dragon Quest, just so much. He did so many projects he did, but of course we know the biggest is the Dragon Ball series. But just to start off how I came across, and I'm just hoping I don't get super emotional because I've been emotional about this all day. So I remember waking up Sunday morning, living in this apartment back in the day, Cloverdale's, and woke up Sunday morning. Me and my uncle were watching cartoons. It's rare that they show cartoons on Sunday morning, but then at certain times they did. And this cartoon came on, and all we remember is we're like, what is this? And it was I remember the first thing I remember was when we turned it on, it was a little kid hanging from a branch, crying, off of a cliff, hanging from a branch. And you see a guy come up on a cloud, wearing all orange with the spiky hair, and he picks him up, and then all of a sudden they're flying through the sky on this cloud. And then it switches and it shows this big green dude, this guy right here, shows this big green dude get confronted by some other dude with long ass hair and was basically getting owned by him or whatever. Then the guy with the child, he goes to an island with his friends. And all of a sudden, the green dude comes to the island. They're like, "Oh, yo, what you doing here? What you doing?" So I guess this guy's the ops. So they're like, "Oh, yo, what you doing here, Piccolo?" He's like, "Yo, I know we are not on good terms, whatever, but there's somebody that is way stronger than us, and we're gonna have to team up and go fight him because he's looking for you. He wants you. I don't know why, and that's it." So me and my uncle are watching this. So what is this? This is kind of interesting. And then, the guy comes to the island, beats him up, takes his son. And then, we wait till next Sunday to watch the next episode. And we're like, yo, this. And then all of a sudden, they get to the fighting. And it's like, yo, what? They're fighting all fast. You could barely see what's going on. And they're moving all fast. And they're knocking each other into mountains. And the mountains are blowing up. And they're making craters in it. And we have never, ever seen something like this before. We've never seen this before. This is, we watched a lot of cartoons, but American cartoons were not like Japanese cartoons. Clearly. Don't get me wrong. There have been Japanese cartoons in America before Dragon Ball. But, and actually, I'm pretty sure they actually showed Dragon Ball in America. I was too young. They actually was showing Dragon Ball in America, but it still wasn't like Dragon Ball Z. But, it was still, there were presence of Japanese animation in America beforehand. But yeah, we were like, yo, what is this show? And then it turned out to be Dragon Ball Z. And then, we just kept watching from there every Sunday until Cartoon Network created a block segment called Toonami, which I guess is supposed to be a play on the word tsunami, because tsunami is, I guess, the Japanese word for tidal wave. So, because that was them to accentuate that this is a block where we're going to show Japanese animation, all Japanese animation, Toonami. Toonami became a huge, popular block. What was on Toonami, one of the cartoons was Dragon Ball Z. Toonami, I think in America, or North America, or wherever, was the launch pad for Dragon Ball Z kind of to start of what it became. Because most people who watch Dragon Ball Z watched it on Toonami. Now, besides that, you could also go, you know, back then it was physical media. There was no digital, no streaming, nothing like that back then. You could go watch, you can go buy tapes and stuff from, you know, we didn't have the official tapes. We had to get like bootleg tapes and all types of stuff like that. Get bootleg tapes, there wasn't even DVDs like that on stuff like that, especially bootleg, not yet. So people were buying tapes, and people would go to, like, we had a spot out here in Jamaica, Queens called Jamaica Ave, where you can get a lot of underground kind of stuff and stuff for cheap. And people will go to Jamaica Ave and basically bring back tapes of, like, because Japan was way further ahead than we were in the series. So people were like, yo, I got these tapes from blah, blah, blah. He powers up and then his hair turns yellow. And he gets mad power. And we're like, yo, get out of here, blah, blah, blah. Because, you know, sometimes people would go and they'd be capping, like, yo, because that became a thing. It's like, okay, now we know, since people could go buy tapes, they could just pretend like, yo, I got a tape, and just cap, like, I got a tape where he goes Super Saiyan 5, and like, yo, come on, man. And then you be believing him, because back then, when people would go, sometimes we would see these tapes, and it would be so far ahead of where we are, that we're just like, yo, what is this? This is crazy. So sometimes when you would hear stuff, you wouldn't even take it as rumor first sometimes, because it's like, yo, let me see the tape. But sometimes, you know, people would cap and everything like that, but yeah, basically, Toonami, I feel like, helped take it off. I don't know any other media that might have did like that before they started actually releasing them out here on DVDs and stuff like that. But the history behind it is Dragon Ball Z is largely inspired. Of course, he's inspired by stuff too, Akira Toriyama. Largely inspired by it's a very famous story out there in that region of the world called Journey to the West. Now, in Journey to the West, there is a character there's a lot of people based off of this character in Journey to the West. Goku's based off of this character. I think his name, what was his name? Goku? Or I forgot what his name was, but his name was like Goku too. Basically, Goku was based off of this guy. Because the guy, he was like a monkey man, and he had the staff. I don't remember if in the story he actually had the flying cloud, the Nimbus or whatever. But there's a lot of animes you would see where there's a monkey man with a staff. If you played, what was Sun? I don't know what Sun is from. You ever played Marvel vs. Capcom, and the character Sun, and she has the staff with the monkey tail? Same thing with Goku. Has a staff with the monkey tail. There's so many stories that were inspired off of Journey to the West. Journey to the West was the biggest inspiration historically over there, I think. And I think Journey to the West is like a Buddhist kind of inspired story or whatever. But yeah, a lot of this is largely based off of Journey to the West. But what Akira Toriyama did, he took Journey to the West and he flipped it out. Crazy. Now, let me just tell you kind of the popularity behind this thing, right? Because Dragon Ball Z became so big that, you know, when we were in school, like high school, because we were watching, like, the majority of, like, the Frieza saga and stuff was going on when we were in high school. So, like, we'd be like, yo, we got to get, we go home, but you got to be in the house at 5:30, 6, because you can't miss Dragon Ball Z. You can't miss Toonami. You can't miss, everybody had to be in the house to watch Dragon Ball Z. Yo, Dragon Ball Z, come on. We'd be at football practice. Yo, hurry up. Don't miss the bus. You're going to miss Dragon Ball Z. If you missed Dragon Ball Z back then, you were pissed. You were pissed. And it's just so funny. Like, we were so inspired by this anime and the characters and the determination that they had, and just the art style, the fighting, that we've never seen nothing like this. That me and my group of friends, we all named ourselves off of a character. Like, Gerard was Goku. I was Gohan. Sean was Vegeta. Big Jason was Piccolo. Little Jason was Goten. Ian was Trunks. We were all a character. We all named ourselves a character. That's how big of an impact. You just don't, man. I wish these kids today knew. I mean, I don't guess I don't want them to know, because they got their own inspirations now. But they gotta remember, they gotta know their inspirations. The guys that created those things that they're inspired by was inspired by Akira Toriyama. Akira Toriyama literally is like the Michael Jackson of the mangakas and you know, just he's another level. Even the creator of One Piece said this guy's like a different dimension, and he's like had an interview with him, and he's like down. He's like, yo, you are the god. And and One Piece is huge. But to get back onto it, we had to go, like I was saying, if you wanted to see past, because what would happen is they would show an arc, like, when we was watching it in the morning on Sunday, they would show it all the way up to before they're about to go to Planet Namek, and they would start it all over. And then, and everybody who watched back then knows what I'm talking about, because that was like a constant thing. It's like every time they get a license or some kind of requirement to an arc, they would just show the arc, start it over. Show the arc, start it over. And we get to the last episode of the arc, please show the new thing. Please show the new thing. And it starts over. We're like, come on, man. But I remember it took a while, and then they finally got the Planet Namek arc, and they showed the whole thing with Frieza. And then I remember for a long time, it took a while before they started showing on TV. They actually started showing like the Cell Saga and then the Boo Saga. So I don't know what took so long for that, but it was you would always just watch it again. It would restart. You'd be disappointed, but you would still watch it. All through all the bullshit, all the whole episodes, 22 minutes. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's just like, it was gold back then. Like, whenever you got a piece of Dragon Ball Z media that nobody's seen, it was gold. They're like, yo, come over, I got the tape. Yo, they're fighting this dude named Broly. He's beating the shit out of all of them. He's the legendary Super Saiyan. They're like, yo, nah, yo, chill, you serious? Yo, son, we got to see this. Like, people would just, yo, come over, yo, I got the Dragon Ball Z tapes for sale, yo, they would sell you, yo, on this tape, he's fighting da-da-da-da-da, yo, he's fighting this dude named Cooler, it's Frieza's brother, da-da-da. They're like, yo, get the fuck out of here, that's not real, nah, for real, I'm telling you, it's Frieza's brother, you gotta see this shit on the tape, you know what I mean? And, oh, man, it was a time, and I just want to say, man, I try not to get emotional, because I've been emotional all day about this shit. The inspiration and motivation behind what this man created, because it was a show where it seemed like these characters were facing impossible odds and impossible challenges, right? These bad guys that they had to fight were just monsters, like I remember when Frieza, they amped up Frieza so much, and Frieza was just the shit, and it took a while before they actually ran into Frieza, but so much, like so many things they were flipped. Do not confront Frieza ever. That every character in the show that knew about Frieza would tell the main characters to stay away from Frieza at all costs. Stay away from Frieza at all costs. He's the most powerful guy in the universe. Do not confront this man. Now, meanwhile, they were getting stronger as well. But when they finally ran into, they hyped Frieza up so much that when they finally ran into Frieza, and they were all just looking up, Frieza. You were like that too. Like, we were like that watching, like, oh, shit. It's him. They're gonna die. It's Frieza. Like they had us feeling the same way. Akira had us feeling the same way the characters were. It's just like, oh my God, this is crazy. They're about to, there's nothing they can do. Frieza's got him. Like, they can't run. What they gonna do? But I just want to say on that, speaking on that, is just when you seen them beat these impossible odds, right? When they would go against these characters, go against these enemies, and then the determination, the training, the way they would train, and just, you would see them fighting and doing just training for months. They would train for a year for somebody who's coming to come fight them. And they knew their lives were on the line, and they would just train, and just believe in each other and push each other. And they would be bleeding and dying on the floor, and somehow they'll still get up and fight. And bro, it was very inspirational and motivational. There's a lot of fitness people that were inspired by back then when we would finish watching Dragon Ball Z, we'd want to go, we'd start lifting weights, going, let's go lift some weights, because it would just inspire you to be better. It would inspire you to be your best, because they were trying to become, they're trying to get to the next level. Oh, I'm trying to become a Super Saiyan. And I'm telling you, man, the way this hit me, listen, I grew up in the hood, man. And in the hood, sometimes you gotta fight. Sometimes there's a lot of bullshit that you might have to go through. And sometimes it could get overwhelming. And let me tell you something, man. This series would make kids believe. It would make kids believe, like, I can be strong. through all this crap, through all these outside forces, I can be freaking strong, man. I can be strong. It would make kids believe that. Kids that didn't believe in themselves before believe that they can be strong now because they're watching Goku face incredible odds. They're watching Gohan go from being a little timid, a little scared kid that they threw in the woods and he had to stay there for 6 months to survive, and Piccolo was watching him, and then all of a sudden he becomes one of the most powerful guys in the universe. This thing was a movement. It was a movement created by this man. You know what I mean? Just the inspiration, the motivation, like, and he inspired the animes of today, because the animes of today took so much from Dragon Ball. A lot of their formulas, like they had tournament arcs, right? You know, Dragon Ball had tournament arcs. You know, Dragon Ball Z had tournament arcs. Then after that, you've seen a lot of other animes have tournament arcs, and usually tournament arcs are lit. And that's why other artists would do it so much, because they saw how ill it was when Dragon Ball did it, when Akira did it, you know? And just the other creators, the creator of Naruto, the creator of One Piece, the creator of all these different things, all have shown their respect to him. They're like, yo, you are the god, bro. We followed you. We followed you. So it's kind of upsetting when you see some of the young kids kind of disrespect Dragon Ball, because they don't even know the shit that they like was because of him. It's because of him, bro. It's because of that man, and the legacy he left. That, if I had to say there's a Mount Rushmore, right, of anime. I mean, no, just a Mount Rushmore. I could be wrong in this. This could be highly debated. A Mount Rushmore of things that came out of Japan that are very popular. The most popular things that came out of Japan. So that's 4 faces. It'd be Godzilla, Pokemon, Mario, Dragon Ball Z. That to me would be the Mount Rushmore of Japan, of things that came out of Japan, of creative stuff that came out of Japan, media that came out of Japan. Because Dragon Ball Z, it was in South America, it was in Europe. Everybody was crazy about it. Everybody knew who everybody knows who Goku is almost. Most people know who Goku. Even if they don't know his name, when they see a picture of him, like, oh, I've seen that guy before. They've seen this guy before. And when I tell you, I feel like Akira Toriyama was very similar to Goku, because he was a very private man, but powerful in his own right, I guess. He was very, very private. Supposedly he had a sign in front of his house at certain points saying, please give us our peace, leave us alone. That's how private. Even him passing away, we didn't find out till a week later, because they're very private and they don't want to be bothered. And I feel like, but he's powerful, and I feel like Goku was the same way. The world in Dragon Ball Z, they don't know who Goku is. Nobody in Dragon Ball in the series knows. Like, the world really doesn't know who he is, but they don't know the power and everything that he did. And I feel like Akira Toriyama was very much part, like, a lot of that character was in him. You know, he created so many things that I'm inspired by. Listen, I draw comics. I draw comics because of my friend Jason, right? But also, I started drawing because my friend Jason had a comic, and he was drawing comics and inspired me to draw too. But the inspiration of what I was drawing came from Marvel and came from Akira Toriyama with Dragon Ball, and Dragon Ball Z, and Dragon Ball everything else. So, and truthfully, a lot of these guys now, their stuff wouldn't exist if it wasn't for Dragon Ball. It wouldn't exist if it wasn't for Dragon Ball Z. Or it wouldn't exist to the point, or to the material that they have now, because there's so many other characters that have the grit of the characters in Dragon Ball. If you watch Naruto has crazy grit, but the creator of Naruto was inspired by who? Akira Toriyama, Dragon Ball Z. His name was so much. This thing, he inspired a generation with his ways and philosophies, and just put it in his cartoon. And you just learned it through there just by watching. And you know, with me, like my comics, I have like 14 comics. I stopped drawing a long time ago. I mean, because I'm not a good artist, so I kind of stopped drawing. But I still write the stories, because my work is my babies, right? So, you know, there would be no Naruto the way it exists today. There would be no One Piece. There would be no Black Clover. There would be no whatever. A lot of things. Even Sonic the Hedgehog, he turned supersonic. Like, there would be none of that. The way it exists. I'm not saying it wouldn't be here, but it wouldn't exist the way it does if it wasn't for Akira Toriyama. If it wasn't for him. For me, my comic, Static, there would be no Static. If it wasn't for them and Stan Lee, because I was highly inspired by Marvel as well, but predominantly Dragon Ball Z, because my characters in the beginning looked so much like Dragon Ball Z characters that I had to start changing them up. I'm like, okay, I can't do this thing. Because, you know, back then we would get on each other for copying. Like, yo, nah, that look like what's face? You copy it. So, you know, there would be no Static. There would be no Static Fuzz. There would be no Static Third Rail. These are my comics I'm naming. There would be no Enzaro. There would be no Atmosphere of Ozzy Artanica. There would be no Static Armani Warrior. Armani Warrior is actually more based off of another creator. My favorite anime is actually called Ranma and a Half, which was created by Rumiko Takahashi. And Rumiko Takahashi, I'm afraid for too. She's a woman, and I'm afraid because she came from that generation too, so she's getting old now as well. Like, you know, Akira Toriyama was 68 when he passed. So Rumiko Takahashi has to be in that same age range. So it's just like, you know, you're just preparing for the day. But just highly inspired by these people, the creativity and how that creativity came down into us. And a lot of us, you know, we think about the legacy and how is it going to continue. Now listen, Stan Lee is gone. Jack Kirby is gone. They have continued Marvel. Marvel has not stopped. Now, of course, a lot of people are crying about the quality nowadays. I still like it. I don't know. I'm not picky. But you always are going to wonder what it would have been like if it was from their mind, the ones who it came from first. So it's just so upsetting that Toriyama had so much stuff in the works. We're still waiting for Super to come back. I know they're doing. He was very involved in the Dragon Ball Daima that's going to come out. He had that desert thing. Forgot what it's called coming out. He got very active again. Very active, because I think he kind of fell back on some projects, like little side projects, for a number of years before he came back to the big stuff. But yeah, I'm pretty sure they will. So far, we've heard there is somebody who is kind of like continuing his work. But you know how we all are. We all want the original creator. But it's like, I feel like it's going to continue. It's going to live on. And I hope that we just all pray that whoever continues this does it in justice. Does it in its full justice of an honor of the way Akira Toriyama would have done it, or would have likely wanted it done. Of course, we can't emulate him. But we can, for those who know him the best, could emulate that, you know. So I'm sure the legacy will continue on, the work will continue on. He changed the whole generation. He had thugs, killers, everybody. They didn't watch anime before. All of a sudden now they watch it. You know how many street dudes I grew up with that watch Dragon Ball Z, talking to regular dudes about it. You know how many people, like, it tied cultures together. Like, basically, Dragon Ball Z made anime mainstream. It made anime mainstream because anime, you was a nerd. If you watched anime, you read comics, you was a fucking nerd back then. But it helped bring out that step to make it mainstream. The same way, like, Kanye kind of, even though they were always like backpack rappers and conscious rappers, Kanye West kind of propulsed that thing more mainstream, like more acceptable. That's what Toriyama did for anime and cool culture. Now anime is cool culture. Now you see bad bitches wearing shit and, you know, wearing anime stuff. And like, back in the day, they would tease you for that, them girls. Now they wearing it. Now they think it's cool because they made it cool. Toriyama, people made it cool. Of course, like, other people after that made it cool, but yeah, man. I'm glad I got through this without crying, because I cried today. I hate to admit that as a man, but I was so hit because I'm so inspired by this man. It was on my bucket list to meet him. You know what I mean? But I was very inspired by him, and may his family get through this well, because, you know, if we loved him, most likely his family loved the shit out of him. They, you know, most people who had a relationship with him enjoyed him as a person, and he left a legacy, a huge legacy. And I think somebody said somewhere, or there was a quote on one of the Dragon Ball medias that said, you know, it's not about us being here forever, but leaving something that does stay here forever. And that's what he did. He basically changed a generation. He really did change a generation. So many people were inspired. I'm pretty sure people were ready to commit suicide and all kind of crazy stuff, and just watching this thing just got inspired. People got on fitness journeys, probably saved their life from health problems because they were so inspired watching dudes train in a hyperbolic time chamber, whatever it may be. And you know, it's one of the legendary factors, one of the legendary franchises of the world. Yeah, and you know, this is a hard. It's gonna be a hard few days for the nerds. Hard week, hard whatever it is. I know a lot of people crying, and everybody that I've seen so far that made a video about it, all are giving him his respect. They're all giving him his respect. They're all like, "Thank you, Akira Toriyama. Thank you for what you have done. We know we can't have you forever." And I have to say the same thing. Thank you, Akira Toriyama, for everything you have done in inspire. Because I have a saying. I have a thing called a saying. It's even a hashtag I use. Anime changed my life. And a big part of that inclusion in anime, a big block of that, is Dragon Ball Z. The Dragon Ball series. Changed my life. Changed my life. Dragon Ball Z changed my life. Just the way I saw things, the motivation, I can do things, bro. I grew up, me and my friends, we faced some challenges, man. It's just, we would watch Dragon Ball Z and we would get inspired again to just, nah, bro, we powerful. We about to get to the next level. Yeah, so rest in peace. We'll see you. I'll see you at King Kai's. I'll see you at King Kai's, bro. I'll see you at Supreme Kai's. We're going to train together. Akira Toriyama, I will see you. I'm going to run down Snake Way. See you on the other side, bro. King Kai's. All right, everybody. That's Nerd Talk New York. Please subscribe. Please follow. My name is Eric-Josiah. I'll talk to you later.
In this other world, or whatever it's called, will I see Kakarot again? You won't see him.